Most students who are preparing for NEET UG or PG don't realize that they're making a lot of mistakes in their preparation, which is not just costing them in time, effort, and energy, but actually costing them in rank, in their college, and in their selection. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you exactly 10 of these mistakes that you might be making unknowingly or knowingly and how to fix them. So watch these next 10 minutes very carefully because this can potentially save you tens and thousands in ranks, which can make a significant impact in your entire life. So let us start from the start. Number one is not fixing your source for your preparation. There are lots of the applications available in the market and lots of teachers who are teaching the same subjects. But it's for you to realize that which teacher fits you the best. For radiology, some teachers might be best. For surgery, some might be best. For medicine, some might be the best. It's not going to be like that in one single application you'll be finding all the teachers who will be suitable for your own teaching. So for that, I say fix a source for your subject. For example, if you're decided for NEET PG. So for NEET PG, if you've decided, let's say I'm going to be studying anatomy from XYZ teacher from this app, only study anatomy from that teacher from that app. Don't go outside searching for other alternatives for learning anatomy. Same thing goes for NEET UG as well. If you are sticking to one source, one teacher, please stick to that teacher for one subject throughout the entirety of the course if that teacher fits for you. If he or she does not fit your criteria, then of course you can go ahead and change, but make sure that you're fixing your teacher who makes you understand the things, who makes you realize what is the importance of things, and most importantly, he teaches you well so that you understand and you remember whatever has been taught to you. The same thing applies for NEET PG, and in NEET PG it is extremely relevant for you to fix your guides, fix your mentors for each subject. For surgery, I say Rohan Khandelwal sir is the best person for you to be guiding for surgery. For OBGY, Sakshi ma'am. For medicine, Rakesh Nair sir. For anatomy, Ashwin Kumar sir. For me, I had fixed all of these teachers in the first place. So for even for watching YouTube videos, I would just stick to these teachers who are present. That gave me a clear cut definition कि अगर मुझे पैथोलॉजी पढ़नी है, एनाटॉमी पढ़नी है, तो मुझे कहाँ से पढ़नी है और कितना टाइम लगेगा उसे पढ़ने से. If the style resonates with you, do not change your teacher. So fix your source. What could be the source? It could be different coaching applications that you've got. It could be an individual teacher who you find on YouTube. It might be some freelancer who is teaching you at your home. But उससे ही पढ़ाई करो जिससे समझता है. हॉप मत करो इधर से उधर. मल्टीपल टीचर्स कलेक्ट मत करो, उससे तुम्हारा ही लॉस होगा. Next, not solving questions daily. Exactly, you have to be solving questions every day in order for you to succeed in a competitive exam. देखो, कंसेप्ट है कि तुम एक दिन एग्जाम में जाओगे, तुम एग्जाम हॉल में बैठोगे एंड तुम्हारे आगे एक स्क्रीन रहेगी जिसपे सिर्फ क्वेश्चंस आएंगे. Nobody is going to question you about the theory. You will be asked to select 1 out of 4 options. तुम दुनिया भर की theory पढ़ लो. If you haven't solved enough questions, you will still get the answer wrong because that's what the questions are designed for you to do. They are designed for you to fall into a trap and get the answers wrong. The only way to be better at solving questions is by solving questions. So that's the basic logic behind it. And I want you to follow exactly that. Every day, you must have certain number of questions or certain hours dedicated purely to solving questions. When I was a NEET UG student, I remember I used to solve at least 200 to 300 questions per day. That's right. Lots of good textbooks I had which were full of questions, full of question banks. So only by solving a lot of questions will you be good at solving questions. Recently Marrow released something called as a summary or a take a look back on your journey with Marrow, and when I flipped back it told me that I had solved nearly 22,000 questions for my NEET PG preparation. So एक एग्जाम जिसमें हार्डली 200 क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, 200 questions के एग्जाम के लिए I had to solve 22,000 questions in order to be good. So you can see the ratio over here, it's huge. So only by solving a lot of questions on a daily basis will you be able to make your questions correct in the exam. So I don't know for other coaching applications, but for NEET PG, I don't think there is a single question bank out there which is comparable to NEET PG than Marrow. Every single question that I've solved from Marrow somehow has helped me crack NEET PG. And the level of questions that the Marrow team designs is exactly matching the style of the NEET PG and the INI CET. So for every NEET PG student who is taking mentorship from me in personal real life as well as online people who are watching me, make sure you solve questions daily, and not just that, you make sure you have a good source, a quality source for you to solve the questions. बकवास question solve करके कुछ नहीं होगा, बहुत easy question solve करके कुछ नहीं होगा. There will never be easy questions in your exam. There will always be tricky questions because if they put easy questions, then what's the point of taking the exam? Even easy questions can become tricky if they are framed properly. So for NEET PG, every single person who is preparing for NEET PG should have question bank of Marrow at least, not the videos, nothing, just at least the question banks, and you should be going through the question bank frequently in order to be successful in your actual exam. For NEET UG, fix your good standard books like for For organic chemistry, you have DK Singh's organic chemistry, you have GRB for different questions, you have Oswal books, you have MTG. All of these are good books which have excellent amount of questions which are also very standard. For physics, I think everyone should try and solve HC Verma as much as they can, because that's one of the ways they can make their physics very, very strong. So make sure you solve your questions and make sure you solve them daily. Every day, fix a target. Today I have to solve, no matter what, I'll be solving 150 questions today. 150 should be the bare minimum that every student solves daily in order for you to get a good rank. For PG students, make sure that you have your custom modules that you're building on a daily basis and solving them. Point number 3 is kind of related to the earlier point. It is not focusing enough on PYQs. So PYQs are special types of questions which are bound to be repeated again. PYQs are previous year questions, for those of you who don't know. And every year, whenever the exam comes up, the PYQ bank increases. And every year, when you see the PYQs, you see that her exam ke PYQs almost repeat hote hai. In some way or the other, the topic is repeated, the question is repeated, or the options are jumbled. Something else happens, but a lot of the PYQs are going to be repeated in the future in some way, form or other. So one pro tip I would like to give you over here is that make a PYQ book. So I made a fantastic 4 notebooks of my own, and one of these books was PYQ book. The same thing I did for NEET UG as well. I called it something else back then. So what this PYQ book does is that, since PYQs are very special questions that you should not forget at any cost, you should not forget even a single mistake that you made on a PYQ, because it's going to be very costly to you. So what you have to do is that you have to make a separate notebook for PYQs and the mistakes that you're making in your PYQs. And whenever you're solving PYQs, whatever the question be, if you find that it's difficult, or if you find that you've gotten the answer incorrect multiple times, you have to write that down into your book, and not just write the question and answer, but also write down the explanation behind it. The explanation is the most important part of the PYQ, because from that explanation, you will find at least 10 more questions can be framed. Just a simple example for both NEET UG and PG. From biochemistry, there is a very common question that is asked on mitochondrial poisons. Okay, so it can be a question about who is the poison of complex number 3. Okay, so the options could be many. The answer is cyanide. So cyanide harms the complex number 3. But at the same time, when you read the explanation will also tell you about all the other inhibitors of different complexes. So अगली बार complex 3 पे question नहीं आएगा. Maybe it will be about the F0, F1 subunit, or it will be about the complex 1. So just a basic example to give you. So every PYQ holds at least 10 future questions in its place. So whenever you're solving PYQs, just make sure that you are always sitting with a notebook, and that is your PYQ book. All the mistakes that you do, you have to write down in your PYQ book and revise them frequently again and again. And only by doing that will you be actually making those PYQs stay with you for a long period of time. Otherwise तुम solve करके गलत करके bookmark करके भूल जाओगे, कोई उस bookmark को देखने नहीं वाला, कभी वो bookmark revisit नहीं होने वाला, and तुम जो topic पहली बार गलत किया हो तुम 100% दोबारा भी गलत करोगे, because your brain is wired in that way. So make sure that you focus on PYQs as well. The source of PYQs, what should be a source? So a lot of good books available for NEET UG. It is Oswal books, which I highly recommend for NEET UG candidates. For NEET PG, Marrow is the way to go for PYQs. There is an entire section in Marrow dedicated for PYQs. I think there were 247 modules when I last solved it. They might increase or decrease. They are always constantly adding the new questions from the new tests which are being taken right from the INI CT as well as the NEET PG. So Marrow तुम्हें होना ही चाहिए क्वेश्चन बैंक, और क्वेश्चन बैंक में अगर तुम पूरा क्वेश्चन बैंक नहीं कर रहे हो तो एटलीस्ट PYQ तुम्हें रटे होने चाहिए. You should know the answer to the PYQs by the 3rd or the 4th revision. Number 4 is making useless notes. Yes, exactly. Making useless notes. That means you're just scribbling something down in your notebook while you're reading a chapter, which will never be read again, which will never have any significance in your life. Those notes will be bakwas. If that is one of the ways that you learn, then keep going. But if you're somebody who is just writing something down for the purpose of writing it down without understanding, and indirectly you're just copying and pasting the entire notebook or the entire notes, then there is no point. Your notes should be very, very, very concise. The reason you're making notes is that because you will never be able to revisit the original source material again. You will never be able to revise this much chunk before one day before the exam, right? You will need something very concise, jo ekdam 50-60 pages ka ho. In that 50-60 pages, you have to fit as much detail as possible, and you have to study from that detail as much as possible. So your notes should be very concise, they should be full of information, and most importantly, they should be only of the things that you don't actually know. If you are making the notes of the things that you already know, then there is no point, क्योंकि वो तो मैं already पता है. I will never be making notes about the names of the 12 cranial nerves. I already know that. I will be only focusing on the exact small things which we forget. Okay, like which is the foramina, from which cranial nerves branch, exit or enter the skull. Okay, so those will be my very specific notes, and out of that only I'll be making very specific notes जो मुझे पता है, मुझे याद नहीं रहेगा. These should be your notes, because the things which you already know. Otherwise it's just filling up of pages that is totally wasteful. So make sure that your notes are concise, they contain the things that you don't actually know and are actually revisable. Don't make them in a bakwas handwriting which you just never will be able to comprehend kya likha hai. Add some beautiful diagrams in it if you can. Make them good so that you read them, and in just one page you are able to read 10 or 15 pages of a good book. So that should be how you make your notes. I've made an entire video on how to make notes and how you should utilize them. You can watch that video after this video is done. If you're still watching the video, make sure to subscribe the channel and also like the video, because it really supports the algorithm. And as a first year internal medicine resident, I think I need your support because I am trying my best to make videos for you. Mistake number 5 is not trusting the process. So it's very important for you to trust the process of learning. It takes time for your scores to go up. It takes time for your rank to improve, but trust me, it happens. Every one of the NEET PG toppers who started studying had a very poor rank in the start. They were not even in the top thousands, they were not even in the top 10,000s when they started their preparation. But over the course of time, slowly as the time goes, as they refine their skills, as they do more PYQs, as they make more mistakes, as they learn more, their skills improve. And it takes time. It takes 5 to 6 months, it might take 7 to 8 months for somebody, but it takes time. I need you to trust the process and don't lose hope every time you see a bad score on your test. So a lot of the people ask me, sir, what is the time that I'll be seeing an improvement in my GT scores? Sir, I'm stuck with 100 correct or 120 correct in my GTs. When will I reach 150? When will I reach 160 or 170? For every single person that I say it will take you 6 to 7 GTs to improve your score by 10 to 12. So the concept behind it is that every time that you give a grand test, you have 200 questions. Those 200 questions will never be repeated in the next 2 or 3 grand tests. So by the time you are analyzing the GT, you are making notes from the GT, and 2 or 3 GTs have been done, you have the knowledge of 600 to 800 questions and potentially even more than that. So next GT comes, they will already have some topics which have already been covered before. So that way, after every 5 to 6 GTs, you will notice an improvement in your scores if you are doing the GT analysis properly. Otherwise, it will not be done. Same goes for NEET UG as well. धीरे धीरे टाइम लगता है तुम्हें, तुम्हारे वीक एरियाज जैसे जैसे कवर होते हैं, यू गेट बेटर एट सॉल्विंग, यू गेट बेटर एट टाइम मैनेजमेंट, योर स्कोर्स आर बाउंड टू इम्प्रूव. सो डोंट वरी टू मच अबाउट आई एम नॉट सीइंग एनी प्रोग्रेस, आई एम हैविंग वेरी मच डिफिकल्टी इंक्रीजिंग माई स्कोर्स. Don't worry about increasing the scores, just worry about studying and your scores will improve automatically. So that's one thing that you have to remember, कि trust the process. टाइम लगेगा but होगा, बस ट्रस्ट करो और तुम अपनी मेहनत करते रहो, बाकी तुम ऊपर वाले के ऊपर छोड़ दो. अगर नहीं होना है तो किसी का नहीं होगा, और अगर होना है तो जिसने नहीं पढ़ा उसका भी हो जाएगा. Alright, next mistake that people make is leaving the weak subjects untouched. So we are always reluctant about some subjects. किसी को फिजिक्स नहीं पसंद होता है, किसी को बायोलॉजी नहीं पसंद होता, किसी को एनाटॉमी नहीं पसंद होता, किसी को साइकेट्री नहीं पसंद होता. So all of us are built different, and some people like some subjects and some people dislike some subjects. But the difference between a person who scores average and a person who is a topper is that a topper person will always make sure that even though they dislike a subject, he will still give his 100% to studying that subject. Even though they hate it, even though they think that that subject is useless, they will still study it to the best. Okay, and that's what I want you to do as well. I want you to study even your weak subjects in your priority, because I'll tell you a very good concept. Let's say that you are a boy who is very weak at organic chemistry as well as physical chemistry. Beta, only and only if you study organic chemistry and physical chemistry, you will see a very big noticeable improvement in your performance, because that is the one place where you can improve the most. That is the one place where you actually, if you put a lot of hard work, you will have your scores go up tremendously, because that is the one area which has a lot of potential to rise. So the same thing applies for NEET PG as well. The worse your subject is, the higher the potential is for that subject to become your best subject. Even though you don't understand anything about that subject, अगर तुम उसे repeatedly पढ़ो, you solve the questions, you read the explanation, तुम mistake book बनाओ, you solve the PYQs, and you just keep repeating the cycle, there will be one time where you have mastered that subject. Even though you might not understand it fully, you will be able to solve questions of that subject. So it really happens. For me, I'll tell you a story. I hated psychiatry. I never understood anything. I think that it's very abstract, and I cannot wrap my head around how this thing entirely works. Okay, I'm a medicine person. That's why I took medicine. And in medicine, we have everything. We know exactly how everything is happening. If a BP of a person is increasing, I know that it might be related to the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system or the sympathetic pathway, or something related to the baroreceptors. कुछ भी हो सकता है जिससे BP increase हो रहा है. So I know these pathways. I know the drugs which block the BP at various different mechanisms. So I love to know when there is actually a mechanism to things. What I have noticed in my psychiatry postings as well as my psychiatry study was that a lot of diseases did not really have a clear-cut mechanism of how they worked, and neither did the drugs have a clear-cut mechanism of how they did not work. Some diseases sure, but most diseases did not. सो आई वॉज वेरी कन्फ्यूज ऑल द टाइम कि ये डिसीज़ होती क्यों है, ये डिसीज़ में कैसे ठीक होता है पेशेंट. सो आई नेवर अंडरस्टूड साइकेट्री वेल, बट ओवर टाइम आई स्टडीड इट सो मैनी टाइम्स दैट इन द एंड इन द नीट PG पेपर माई साइकेट्री वॉज द हाइएस्ट. आई हैड स्कोर्ड 8 out of 8 इन साइकेट्री. मतलब कि 8 क्वेश्चन दिए थे, 8 में से 8 मुझे आ गए थे. सो दैट्स वॉट यू हैव टू डू इज दैट इवन इफ यू डोंट लाइक अ सब्जेक्ट, इवन इफ द सब्जेक्ट इज वेरी वीक, फॉर मी इट वॉज वेरी वीक, इट वॉज वन ऑफ माई वीकेस्ट सब्जेक्ट्स when I started, it can become your strongest strength in the future, and it will improve your marks drastically. So make sure that you're focusing on your weak subjects more than you're focusing on your strong ones. Mistake number 7, my friends, is inconsistent study hours. If you rely on mood to start studying, there is a guarantee that you will never succeed in life. If you rely on mood for doing anything, यार आज मूड नहीं हो रहा तो आज मैं नहीं पढ़ाई करता हूँ, यार आज मूड नहीं हो रहा इसलिए मैं जिम नहीं जाता हूँ, यार आज मूड नहीं हो रहा इसलिए हॉस्पिटल नहीं जाता हूँ. इफ़ यू रिलाई ऑन मूड फॉर एनीथिंग इन योर लाइफ, you are bound to be unsuccessful. Human mood and human nature is very very variable, and you never want to do the hard activities. किसी को कोई ख़राब काम करना ही नहीं है, किसी को पढ़ाई के लिए नहीं बैठना है, किसी को रूम साफ़ नहीं करना. Nobody wants to do anything that requires mental physical effort, but that's when a discipline schedule comes into place. If you have a proper timetable कि इस समय ये चीज़ होनी है, मतलब वो होनी है, that's when you'll see a difference happening in your life. If you have made a rule कि no matter what, at 8 I have to sit down and study, that's when you will see that you are every day waking up, doing everything, and 8 baje you will be on the study table with your head on the textbook, and you'll just completely be studying. So make sure that you have your study hours fixed कि morning में इतने बजे से इतने बजे तक I have to study, afternoon and night I have to study. It is extremely essential for NEET UG students to do that, because you are mostly at your home. तुम्हारी कुछ tuition class होगी which will last till 1.5 years, and last 6 months is where you actually make the difference, where you're sitting at home and studying. Okay, and I really think that 7 to 8 months is enough for NEET UG, for you to crack NEET UG if you are a studious student. So basically you have to make a timetable, and you have to stick to that timetable on a day-to-day basis. कि morning में I have to study 4 hours, then I have to take a break, then I have to study for 4 hours, then break, then 4 hours. जब तक तुम ऐसा टाइम टेबल नहीं बनाओगे, तुम्हारी पढ़ाई नहीं होने वाली. You have to believe me when I say this. You have to have discipline in life in order to achieve something. Otherwise, you will never achieve it. So that discipline only comes when you fix your study hours. You remember when you still in school, what used to happen? You had fixed classes for fixed intervals. So no matter what, you know कि इतने बजे मैथ्स पढ़ना है, इतने बजे फिजिक्स पढ़ना है, इतने बजे इंग्लिश पढ़ना है. That made us go through that school, and that is the exact reason why we learned every subject in school, because we had a dedicated time to it. We knew what we were supposed to be doing. So that's how it works. You have to have discipline, and you have to fix your hours. If you are not disciplined, you will never succeed in life. Point number 8 is comparing yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy. Not just thief of joy, but also a very big mood killer. If you're comparing yourself to somebody who has started 3 months before you, you will always find yourself demotivated. If you're comparing yourself to somebody who has started later than you, you will always feel a false sense of pride कि wow, I'm doing so much better than him. But in reality, since everybody's starting point is different, everybody will be in different stages of their preparation at once. So in one cross section, you will have somebody who has just started, somebody who is repeating for the 3rd time, somebody who is a fresher, somebody who has given one attempt and who is trying to do again. So in one cross section of time, there are different people, and everybody has different things going on in their life. पढ़ाई के अलावा भी जीवन में बहुत कुछ है जो होता है इंसान के साथ. किसी की तबीयत खराब हो जाती है, किसी को घर पे कुछ एक्सीडेंट हो जाता है, बहुत कुछ हो सकता है. And all of these factors can affect your study, and they do affect your studies. So comparing yourself with somebody who is along with you is absolutely nonsense. You shouldn't compare yourself to somebody else because you have somebody to compare yourself with, and that is yourself. Every day you wake up and see, how was I doing previously and how am I doing now? I did not used to know 10 topics yesterday. Do I know these 10 topics today? If yes, then you're making progress. I used to score maybe 5 out of 10. Am I scoring 6 out of 10 today? Then yes, I'm making progress. If you're not, then reanalyze your strategy and find out what is going wrong, and then you can move ahead in the future. But if you keep comparing yourself to others, my friends, in your single class, there might be students who have been preparing for the exam since they have been in class 8th, class 9th, or NEET PG में second year से first year से पढ़ रहे होते हैं लोग. If you start comparing yourself to those people, you will always feel bad. Just compare yourself to your own self. And when you start doing that, you will feel an actual increase in your scores. You will feel an actual increase in पॉजिटिविटी इन योर माइंड, बिकॉज तुम्हें पता है कि तुम्हें एक ही इंसान से बेहतर बनना है, वो भी खुद से. अगर तुम खुद से बेहतर बन गए तो तुम सबसे बेहतर हो गए. बस यही है कंसेप्ट लाइफ का. सो स्टॉप कंपेयरिंग योर सेल्फ टू अदर्स, स्टार्ट बिलीविंग इन योर सेल्फ, स्टार्ट ट्रस्टिंग द प्रोसेस, एंड ऑलवेज ट्राई टू बी बेटर देन योर ओन प्रीवियस सेल्फ. Point number 9 is procrastination disguised as productivity. You will be going on YouTube, and let's say that you're a NEET aspirant of class 12th who is 2 months away from the exam. तुम्हें किसी यूट्यूबर का वीडियो आता है, हाउ टू क्रैक नीट इन 2 months, कंप्लीट स्ट्रैटेजी. तुम वो देख लेते हो, उसमें तुम्हें बहुत मोटिवेट किया जाता है. यू आर गिवन अ लॉट ऑफ होप दैट यू कैन डू इट, एंड यू आर गिवन सो एंड सो टाइम टेबल, सो एंड सो सोर्सेस, probably a course that you have to buy. Everything is given, and then you fall into this trap. Few days pass by and you are again watching at somebody else's video, how to crack NEET in 45 days, how to crack NEET in 1 month, how to crack NEET in 2 weeks. All of these are useless things which are procrastination, which is disguised as productivity. तुमको लगता है वो वीडियो देख के वाओ मैं भी कर सकता हूँ, and that small wow in your head, you know, that hit कि मैं कर सकता हूँ in such a small time is enough for your brain to feel good and feel wonderful, and then you stop studying entirely. You think that you're going to be studying, but no. You have become addict of believing that you can do it in such a small amount of time. So you keep on repeatedly watching such videos. You keep on repeatedly watching कि इतने समय में ये एग्ज़ाम कैसे निकालनी है, इतने समय में इतनी बुक्स कैसी कवर करनी है. But in reality, any exam takes time. 6-7 months it takes any exam. 3 months minimum it takes for you to do anything. बड़ी से बड़ी एग्ज़ाम 3-4 महीने में लोग निकाल देते हैं. So it is possible, yes, but you will start doing procrastination instead of being productive. So block all these activities which involves things like how to crack in XYZ months, XYZ days. This will never work. The only thing that will work is that if you sit down and study. No matter how bad you are right now, if you sit down, study and every day, solve questions every day, I guarantee by the end of 1 year तुम्हारा selection हो जाएगा. But you have to do everything that I'm saying. So that's the beauty of it, that don't fall into these traps, don't fall into bullshit things that you see online. Okay, just focus on your own self and focus on your own studies, and you will see a miracle happening. So those are, I think, 9 total mistakes that one can make during their preparation, and all of this, if you stop, I'm betting you that your rank will go up. If you're watching me for the first time, I'm Dr. Anuj Pachhel, a first year MD medicine resident at GMC Nagpur, and if you like this video, maybe consider subscribing. If you're a NEET PG aspirant, I've got an entire list of dedicated videos for NEET PG preparation that I call the NEET PG Success Blueprint. Hundreds of people have messaged me after the NEET PG telling me how much the blueprint has helped them score so and such beautiful ranks. I've added a link in the description. You can go check out Blueprint for yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.